My brother was the kind of person who prepared for everything. I want to tell you that first because I think it matters. He was not reckless. He was not inexperienced. He was a 34-year-old man who had been hiking and backpacking in California wilderness for 15 years. He had the gear, the knowledge, and the habit, one he never broke, of filing a trip plan with the ranger station before any solo trip. He filed the trip plan for this one. He told the ranger station his planned route, his campsites, his expected return date. He told me his route when he called the night before he left. He called me from the trailhead when he arrived. That call, his voice relaxed and excited, the specific energy he always had at the start of a trip, was the last time I spoke to him. The trip was 4 nights. A loop through the backcountry of a national forest in Northern California, a route he had completed the southern portion of before and was finishing for the first time. On the 5th day, the day he was expected out, he did not return to the trailhead. His car was still in the lot. The ranger station initiated a search and rescue operation within hours. Search and rescue teams covered the planned route over 4 days. They found his second night camp, exactly where his trip plan indicated he would be. The camp was intact. His tent, his sleeping bag, his cook system, his bare canister with food still inside his pack. Everything was there. My brother was not. The camp showed no sign of distress, no disruption, no indication of a struggle or a medical event or any reason a person would leave their camp without their pack and their gear. His boots were inside the tent. He had left, or been removed from, his camp without his boots. The search teams found footprints leading away from the tent toward the creek that ran below the campsite. Barefoot prints, his reaching the creek bank and stopping. No prints in the creek bed, which was shallow enough to see the bottom. No prints on the far bank. No prints returning to camp. The prints stopped at the edge of the water. My brother's footprints stopped at the creek bank, and he was gone. The search continued for 11 days and found nothing further. In the 5 years since, the case has been reviewed multiple times by the original SAR team, by a cold case investigator the family hired, and by a former FBI agent who specializes in wilderness disappearances. None of them have produced an explanation that accounts for the barefoot prints stopping at the creek bank. None of them have produced my brother. The cold case investigator said carefully, in the measured language of a professional trying not to give false hope or close off possibilities, that the physical evidence was inconsistent with any single explanation he could fully commit to. The camp conditions suggested he left voluntarily or was removed without disturbance. The barefoot prints suggested a state of altered consciousness, but the creek bank endpoint, where the prints stopped, did not fit a medical event in any way he could construct. Because a person in a medical event does not stop at a creek bank and cease to leave prints. They fall, they leave transfer evidence, they go into the water. He said my brother went to the creek bank, and then he was not in the creek, and then he was not anywhere they could find. He said he had kept the case open because he did not have an explanation for that. My brother has been missing for 5 years. His case is open. He prepared for everything. He filed his trip plan. He called from the trailhead. He did everything right. And he is gone. I do not know why. I may never know why. But I tell this story because he deserves to be spoken about, and because maybe somewhere someone has a piece of information that brings him home. She texted me at 11:47 at night. I know the exact time because I have looked at that message more times than I can count. It said almost to Reno, maybe 45 minutes, stopping for gas. I sent back a thumbs up. I did not call. I have thought about not calling more times than I can count as well. She was driving from Las Vegas to Reno alone, a drive she had made twice before. 7 hours, interstate most of the way with some state highway in the middle. She was an experienced driver, not someone who fell asleep at the wheel or drove distracted. A careful and practical person who checked her tire pressure before long drives and kept her gas above a quarter tank. At 11:47, she was 45 minutes from Reno. She never arrived. I called at 1:30 in the morning when she had not texted me to say she was in. No answer. I called 3 more times. No answer. I called the hotel she was booked at in Reno. She had not checked in. I called the Nevada Highway Patrol at 2:30. Her phone's last ping, the last location transmitted to a cell tower, was at 11:51. For minutes after her text to me, on a stretch of US 95 northwest of Las Vegas, a specific mile marker on a dark stretch of desert highway. Her car was found the following morning by a passing motorist. Pulled off the highway on the right shoulder. Engine off, doors closed, unlocked. Her purse was in the passenger seat. Her phone was in the center console. Her overnight bag was in the trunk. She was not in the car. The investigation found no evidence of a collision, no mechanical failure, no evidence of another vehicle involved. No paint transfer, no tire marks from another car. Her car appeared to have been pulled over and parked deliberately. Not run off the road. Parked. With everything she needed inside it. And she was gone. A multi-agency search covered the surrounding desert for 3 days and found nothing. The desert floor was hard-packed in that section and did not retain impressions. Her phone records showed no activity after her message to me at 11:47. The last ping at 11:51 was the phone at that mile marker. After that, nothing. The investigator assigned to her case said the vehicle positioning was the detail that did not resolve for him. It was parked, not abandoned in distress. Parked properly on the shoulder with the engine off. Which meant she stopped the car, she chose to stop, or something caused her to stop in a way that produced a parked car rather than an incident scene. The parked car suggested she was okay in the moment she stopped. And then she was not. And the transition between those two things happened in a way that left no evidence on or around the vehicle. He said that was not a common outcome. That was a very specific and very troubling one. She has been missing for 5 years. Her case is active. Her phone, her overnight bag, her purse, everything she had with her is accounted for. Except her. She texted me at 11:47. She was 45 minutes from Reno. And then she was gone. I want to tell you about my son before I tell you what happened to him. He was 22 years old. He was studying environmental science and had been accepted into a graduate program he was supposed to start in the fall. He loved the water. He had grown up on that lake. We had a family cabin there that my family had used for 30 years, and he knew it the way you know a place you have loved your whole life. He was not reckless around water. He was a strong swimmer. He had a kayak. He wore a life jacket. He always wore a life jacket. It was a rule we had had since he was small that had become his own habit. On a Saturday in June, he went out on the kayak in the late afternoon. We were at the cabin, my husband, my daughter, and I. He said he would be back before dark. He was not back before dark. We called for him from the dock. We drove the lake road looking for his kayak. We called 911 at 9 in the evening when it was fully dark and he had been gone 4 hours. The Vilas County Sheriff's Department initiated a water search. The kayak was found the following morning, floating in the middle of the lake, upright, not capsized. The paddle was across the cockpit. His life jacket was in the kayak. Not on my son. In the kayak. He had removed his life jacket and placed it in the kayak while he was on the water. This is the thing I cannot explain. This is the thing that investigators and grief counselors and the people who have tried to help me understand what happened cannot explain. He always wore his life jacket. He had worn it every time he had been in that kayak for 3 years. He knew the water. He knew the life jacket was not optional. He removed it and placed it in the kayak and was gone. Divers searched the lake for 4 days. The lake is deep in sections, a glacial lake with a maximum depth of 62 feet in the basin. They did not find him. He was found 6 weeks later in a section of the lake that had been searched. I will not describe the condition in which he was found because that belongs to our family and not to this story. What I will share, because the investigator shared it with my permission to do so, is that the medical examination produced no evidence of a medical event. No cardiac event, no neurological event, no substances in his system. No explanation for why a 22-year-old man who knew water and always wore his life jacket removed it on a calm lake on a clear June evening. The investigator said carefully and with compassion, in the language of someone who wanted to give me an answer and did not have one, that there was a documented phenomenon in drowning cases that does not have a complete scientific explanation. Behaviors in the period preceding drowning that are inconsistent with the individual's normal behavior, removing clothing, removing safety equipment, moving toward water, in cases with no substance involvement and no medical explanation. It is documented. It is not understood. He said he was telling me this not because it explained my son, but because he did not want me to spend the rest of my life believing my son had not known what he was doing. The evidence suggested something happened that he did not choose. He said that was the best he could give me, and he was sorry it was not more. My son has been gone for 4 years. I tell his story because he was more than a case number. He was a person who loved water, who was going to graduate school, who said he would be back before dark. He deserves to be spoken about,